May 14th, 2019, 6:47 in the morning. A frantic 911 call came from a quiet suburban home in Greenville, South Carolina. The caller was David Morrison, 38 years old, his voice shaking as he reported that his wife, Jennifer, was not breathing. But what the operator did not know yet was that this was not a simple tragedy. Behind the closed doors of that perfect American home lay a web of betrayal, forbidden desire, and a secret that would destroy 3 lives forever. David and Jennifer Morrison seemed to have it all. They lived in a charming house on Maple Drive in one of Greenville's most desirable neighborhoods. David worked as a regional sales manager for a pharmaceutical company. Jennifer, 35, had given up her career in marketing to raise their 2 children, Emma, 9, and Lucas, 6. To their neighbors, and they were the ideal American family. But beneath this perfect facade, cracks had begun to form. David's job required frequent travel, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks per month. Jennifer was left alone to manage the household, the children, the endless routine of suburban motherhood. The conversations between them became shorter, more transactional. The romance that had once defined their relationship had faded into a comfortable but hollow partnership. Everything changed in October 2018 when Jennifer's mother, Rebecca Walsh, came to stay with them. Rebecca was 56, recently divorced after a 30-year marriage that had left her emotionally shattered and questioning her self-worth. Her ex-husband had left her for a younger woman, a devastating blow that destroyed her confidence. She seemed vibrant and youthful on the outside, maintaining her appearance through yoga and careful attention to her health. But inside, she felt invisible, unwanted, and desperately lonely. The divorce had left her emotionally vulnerable and seeking validation. She sold her home in Atlanta and needed a place to stay while she rebuilt her life. Jennifer, feeling sorry for her mother and hoping for some company during David's long absences, invited her to move into their guest room temporarily. At first, everything seemed fine. Rebecca helped with the children, cooked dinners, kept the house immaculate. But slowly, something began to shift between David and Rebecca. It started with long conversations in the kitchen after Jennifer had gone to bed. They would talk about work stress, her divorce, life's disappointments. Rebecca made David feel seen in a way he had not felt in years. So then came the shared glances, the accidental touches, the moments that lasted just a second too long. Rebecca, lonely and wounded from her divorce, found herself drawn to David. He was successful, attentive, everything her ex-husband had stopped being. She knew it was wrong, a betrayal of her daughter, but the attention felt too good to resist. The first time they crossed the line was in February 2019. Jennifer had taken the children to her sister's house for the weekend. David claimed he was too busy with work to join. Rebecca stayed behind, saying she was not feeling well. They did not plan it. It just happened. Guilt washed over both of them immediately afterward, but it was too late. The boundary had been crossed. For the next 3 months, they carried on a secret affair. When Jennifer left the house, David would find reasons to work from home. They would meet in hotels when David was supposedly traveling. They exchanged hundreds of messages, deleting them immediately after sending. They convinced themselves it was not hurting anyone as long as Jennifer never found out. But secrets have a way of revealing themselves. Jennifer began to notice small things. David seemed happier but distant. Her mother was constantly on her phone, being secretive. The two would stop talking when Jennifer entered a room. There was an energy between them that felt inappropriate. One evening in early May, Jennifer's suspicions reached a breaking point. David had gone to the gym, or so he said. Rebecca claimed she was meeting a friend. Jennifer's instincts told her something was wrong. She decided to check David's laptop, something she had never done in 15 years of marriage. She did not have to look far. David had forgotten to log out of his email. There, in his sent folder, were messages to her mother. Messages that left no doubt about what had been happening. Words of love, of longing, of planning a future together. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through weeks of correspondence. They had been planning trips together, talking about what life would be like when Jennifer was out of the picture. The betrayal cut deeper with every word she read. Jennifer's world shattered. The betrayal was double. Her husband and her mother. The two people who were supposed to love her most had conspired against her in the most devastating way possible. When David returned home that night, Jennifer confronted him. She screamed, cried. He threw his laptop across the room. The device shattered against the wall, pieces of plastic scattering across the hardwood floor. David tried to deny it at first, stammering excuses, claiming the messages were taken out of context. But Jennifer was not a fool. She had read everything, every intimate detail, every plan they had made, every lie he had told her. When he finally admitted everything, his voice was barely a whisper. He claimed he was confused, that he never meant to hurt her, that he still loved her. But his words sounded hollow, empty, meaningless after what she had discovered. Rebecca came home during the confrontation. When she walked through the door and saw Jennifer's tear-stained face, she knew immediately their secret was out. Jennifer turned to her mother with a look of pure hatred. "How could you? You are my mother." Those were the only words she could manage before collapsing onto the couch, sobbing. The next few hours were chaotic. Accusations flew. Rebecca tried to apologize, but nothing could undo the damage. David begged for forgiveness. Jennifer demanded they both leave, but neither of them left that night. It was late. The children were asleep upstairs. They agreed to wait until morning. David slept on the couch. Rebecca stayed in the guest room. Jennifer locked herself in the master bedroom. No one slept. The house was silent but charged with unbearable tension. Jennifer lay awake, her mind racing through years of memories now tainted by betrayal. David stared at the ceiling, knowing his marriage was over. Rebecca sat on the edge of the guest bed, realizing the magnitude of what she had done to her own daughter. Around 6 a.m, Jennifer got out of bed. She had not slept at all. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her face puffy and red. Every muscle in her body ached from the tension. She went downstairs to make coffee, her movements mechanical, her mind still trying to process the enormity of what had happened. She found Rebecca in the kitchen, already awake, sitting at the table in her silk robe, looking small and broken. Her perfect composure finally cracked. The confident, vibrant woman who had moved in months ago was gone, replaced by someone who looked decades older. When Jennifer walked in, Rebecca stood and started to apologize again, her voice trembling, tears already streaming down her carefully made-up face. But Jennifer held up her hand, unable to bear hearing another word. She did not want to hear it. She told her mother to pack her things and leave immediately. Rebecca nodded, tears streaming down her face. She started toward the guest room, then turned back. She tried one more time to explain, to beg forgiveness. Jennifer's rage exploded. She grabbed a coffee mug from the counter and threw it at the wall, narrowly missing Rebecca's head. She screamed at her to get out, to leave, to never come back. The sound woke David, who rushed into the kitchen. He tried to calm Jennifer down, but his presence only made things worse. Jennifer turned on him, her fury directed at both of them. She told him he was a monster, that he had destroyed their family, that she wanted a divorce and would make sure he never saw his children again. David, feeling cornered and defensive, yelled back. He said she had pushed him away, that she had stopped caring about their marriage years ago, that he had been lonely, and Rebecca had been there for him. It was a cruel thing to say, and he regretted it the moment the words left his mouth. Jennifer's face went pale. She stared at him with an expression he had never seen before, something cold and empty. Then, without a word, she turned and walked upstairs. David and Rebecca stood in the kitchen, both realizing they had just crossed a point of no return. According to David's testimony later, he heard Jennifer moving around upstairs for about 10 minutes. Then there was silence. He assumed she was packing his things, preparing to throw him out. Rebecca sat at the kitchen table, numb. The full weight of her actions was crushing her. Around 6:30, David decided to go upstairs and talk to Jennifer one more time. He climbed the stairs slowly, dreading the confrontation. When he reached the master bedroom, the door was closed. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again, louder. Still nothing. A cold feeling of dread washed over him. He tried the handle. It was locked. David called Jennifer's name. Silence. He knocked harder, then started pounding on the door, begging her to answer. Rebecca heard the commotion and came running up the stairs. Something was very wrong. David threw his shoulders against the door. On the fourth impact, the lock gave way and the door flew open. What he saw made him freeze. Jennifer was lying on the bathroom floor, motionless. An empty bottle of prescription pills was on the sink, pills that Rebecca took for anxiety. David rushed to her, dropping to his knees, shaking her, screaming her name. Rebecca stood in the doorway, her hands covering her mouth in horror. David grabbed his phone and dialed 911, his voice breaking as he told the operator his wife was not breathing. The paramedics arrived within 8 minutes. They tried everything, but Jennifer was gone. The coroner later determined that she had taken approximately 30 tablets of lorazepam, a benzodiazepine combined with alcohol. The combination had caused respiratory depression and cardiac arrest. Time of death was estimated at approximately 6:15 in the morning. The investigation that followed was thorough and painful. Detective Sarah Chen from the Greenville Police Department was assigned to the case. When she arrived, she found David sitting on the front steps, staring into space. Rebecca was inside, being questioned by officers, and the children had slept through everything and had been quickly taken to a neighbor's house. Detective Chen immediately sensed this was not straightforward. When she interviewed them separately, their stories revealed a shocking truth: the affair. David broke down during his interview, confessing everything: the months-long relationship with his mother-in-law, the confrontation the night before, Jennifer's devastation upon discovering the betrayal. Rebecca's interview was even more harrowing. She was nearly catatonic with guilt. She told Detective Chen that she had killed her daughter, that her selfish actions had driven Jennifer to suicide, that she deserved to be punished. Chen had to clarify that Rebecca was not being charged with any crime, but the woman could not be consoled. The medical examiner's report confirmed suicide. Jennifer had left no note, but the evidence was clear. Jennifer had taken them deliberately in a massive overdose with clear intent to end her life. The aftermath was devastating. David and Rebecca were not charged. Suicide is not murder, and while their actions had contributed to Jennifer's emotional state, legally they were not responsible. But morally, the weight crushed them both. David lost custody of his children. Jennifer's sister, Michelle, sued for guardianship, arguing that David's actions had led to her sister's death and that he was unfit to parent. The family court agreed. Emma and Lucas went to live with their aunt in North Carolina. Rebecca moved away from South Carolina, unable to bear living in the same state where her daughter had died. She retreated into isolation, cutting off contact with most of her family, as she never forgave herself. In interviews months later, she would say that she died the same day Jennifer did, that she was just a shell going through the motions. David tried to rebuild his life, but the scandal followed him everywhere. He lost his job. His name was in the newspapers, on local news broadcasts. Everyone in Greenville knew him as the man who had an affair with his mother-in-law and drove his wife to suicide. He eventually moved to another state, changed his name, tried to start over, but the guilt never left him. The case became a cautionary tale in Greenville. Therapists used it in sessions about betrayal and family dysfunction. The house on Maple Drive sat empty for over a year before being sold at a significant loss. Detective Chen said later that the Morrison case haunted her, not because of the complexity of the investigation, which was straightforward, but because of the sheer tragedy of it all. 3 lives destroyed by selfish choices and forbidden desire. 2 children left without a mother and essentially without a father. A family torn apart in the most devastating way possible. The story of David Morrison, Rebecca Walsh, and Jennifer Morrison serves as a dark reminder of how betrayal can destroy not just relationships, but lives. What started as emotional intimacy between 2 lonely people escalated into an affair that no one could have imagined would end in death. Jennifer Morrison was not a weak woman. She was a devoted mother, a respected member of her community. But the double betrayal by her husband and her own mother was more than she could bear. In her darkest moment, she made a choice that could never be undone. In the years since Jennifer Morrison's death, David and Rebecca have lived in self-imposed exile, carrying the unbearable weight of their choices. The children, Emma and Lucas, now teenagers, live with their Aunt Michelle in North Carolina. They have received extensive therapy and have been shielded from media attention. They know the full truth about what happened to their mother, but they have been given the space to process this trauma at their own pace, surrounded by unconditional love and support from family who truly care for them. If this story impacted you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We bring you the most compelling true crime cases from across America, diving deep into the psychology, investigations, and human stories behind the headlines. So every case is thoroughly researched to bring you not just the facts, but the lessons we can learn from these tragedies. hit the notification bell so you never miss a new case, and share this video with someone who appreciates true crime content.